Hello, thank you for coming along on another ride with Hosen and Stanley. This is the Leong-Form.
Yes, we are definitely riding the wave today and talking about rides and drives.
Yes.
We have some special guests with us today.
That's right, a two-guest episode, which is really fun because we don't really have many of these two-guest episodes, and we hit the roads with motoring commentators as well
Write
as
the script again.
experts.
Hit the road.
Hit the roads. No Jack with us, but Jamie Nonis as well as Ben Lau. Now, a little bit more about Jamie and Ben.
Yeah, so Jamie is an independent journalist with more than 2 decades of experience interviewing influential captains of industries and regularly writes about motoring for outlets like CNA Luxury. And as for Ben, he has more than 30 years of experience in the automotive industry and he's an independent car consultant.
I have to credit Ben personally because he has given me invaluable advice when I bought my last 2 cars, including my present one. Now, Ben's also on my speed dial whenever I've got questions about, hey, Ben, I got this problem with my car. Which workshop do you recommend? Or what should I do with this, particular...
Have you Google before?
Got Google, but got Ben, why you need to Google?
Google Ben. Anyway, welcome Ben and Jamie.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Jamie, how did you get involved with writing about motoring? Because, I met you at a wine tasting, actually a media tasting.
Actually, I did meet Jamie first also at a media tasting.
Everything happens over food and wine. How did writing about motoring come about?
So it was completely by accident. My story is not your typical, as a small boy, then they're interested in cars and things like that and reading all the car magazines. It was completely by accident. I was already driving for almost 2 decades. And then I got sent on a press trip accidentally. Accidentally. Yes.
Ooh, go.
Yes. So one day my editor, she texted me. I was writing for the Edge newspaper at that time.
Right.
And then she texted me. She was like, do you have a driver's license? So I said, yes, I do. Why? Because at that time I was only writing about luxury lifestyle. So watches, travel, stuff like that. I wasn't touching cars at all. And then, so she texted me and then she asked if I had a driver's license because there was a BMW and Mini trip to Australia where the journalist in-house that was supposed to go last minute couldn't make it. And the theme was all female journalists only that they wanted because the itinerary was yoga, things like that.
Okay.
And then, so I was like, yeah, I have the license and I can make it. So she sent me instead. And then, sorry, I forgot this part. Because in-house, there was no other female editor or writer who could drive a driver's license.
Oh,
yeah.
odd.
So she had to outsource that to me on the assignment. And then I went and then I got very, I just fell in love with the whole lifestyle. When you're behind the wheel of a performance car. Okay, up until then, I was driving a Korean car. Okay?
Yeah.
So, I won't say which brand.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. No, nothing wrong.
They've gotten better though.
Yeah, so I had already been driving for a long time, right? But the moment I got behind the wheel of a BMW with that kind of performance and we were driving on the Great Ocean Road.
Oh my goodness.
And it was just such an amazing experience and I just fell in love. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to switch 2 cars and this is what I'm going to cover from now on. And I just really made that decision. Yeah, it was that trip.
All because of an accident.
Yes, it was serendipity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
What about you, Ben?
Surely not an accident.
No.
When I was very young, my friends and friends of my parents, they all said, Ben, you're going to grow up to do 3 things in life. Either going to be a psychologist,
Wow.
a lawyer, or a salesman. Guess what? I chose salesman.
Which actually encompasses everything as well, you know.
So, and with most young boys, right? We love cars. Anything with speed, flashy. I wasn't partly into supercars because I found them very uncomfortable. I like huge luxury cars the Maybachs, the Grosser, Mercedes Grosser, which every dictator in the world had, So I love cars like that.
All right.
But I realized that my father is a Lao, so it's not Li Ka-shing. So I can't fulfill my dreams of playing with cars growing up. So I decided next best thing, join the industry. And I'll get a chance to drive as many cars as I would like to. And from there, it became... In fact, 10 days after my final paper, NUS, I walked into a car dealership and said, I want to sell cars.
Wow.
I really just walked in and said, a big one. I said, I want to sell cars. So they asked me, what are your credentials? I mean, what's your educational qualification? I said, A levels. Because I didn't lie.
Yeah.
Not convocated yet.
right.
So I could have, failed NUS, for that matter. So they took me in because they mentioned later on that if we knew you were a graduate, we wouldn't have taken you in because you're here for fun only.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Overqualified, they might deem you.
Overqualified. So back then, I think there were very few who actually got a degree and went into a used car, not new car, used car dealership to sell cars. I think I honed my skills from that moment. It was, I think, 1984 April, my first job.
Wow.
And I've been in the car industry ever since. Yeah.
Gosh, 1984. 1984.
Makes me an old man.
I was in primary school.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, moving along. So we're here to discuss...
Sorry, 1994.
Yeah lah,
Shit,
I was like,
shit, my head,
1984 cannot be, ma.
1994.
Because I graduated in 1986. Cannot be lah.
Okay. 1994.
Rapidly aging population.
Yeah.
Right. Now, of course, the whole industry has changed so much,
Yeah.
since both of you started writing, reporting about motoring, and when you started, working straight out of school in a used car company. But let's talk about the current landscape. Everyone's talking about electric cars these days as well, and I'm sure, you have also written about that pretty much, Jamie. So let's talk about the factors that seem to be driving this push towards adoption of electric cars. I mean, environmental benefits seem to be touted as the primary driver, pardon the pun. Your thoughts on this, Jamie?
So definitely consumers are becoming more concerned about the environment. That's the primary driving factor for sure. I think cost also is a big issue because EVs are more expensive than ICE cars.
Oh, really?
Yes, they
Oh,
are.
and-
They are
okay.
quite a lot more expensive.
Wow.
And the other concern is the charging infrastructure. So that is the major
In
thing.
Singapore lah.
Correct. In terms
Right.
of like what's accessible and to the public. So if you're staying in landed, it's actually much more convenient to install your own personal charger. But say if you're in a condo, condos may not have the chargers right now at the moment. And then there's things like, they got to get,
Public.
so you can, they got to get like 50%
And it
or
costs twice
something.
as much to charge publicly than from your home.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because you pay 28 cents per kilowatt through your utility supplier, right? Service provider. But if you charge outside, you typically pay about 60 cents per kilowatt.
That's almost double, more than double.
Yeah, it's double.
Oh.
So landed property, I think is a no-brainer. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh,
you.
no.
Yeah.
Let's have
It's,
a conversation. Yeah.
It's a no-brainer for... So when people come to me and say, hey, I'm thinking of getting EV, I say, where do you stay? Landed. No-brainer, buy one. Because you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about somebody, no place to charge because it's your own house, right?
Yeah, right.
You don't have to worry about cost of charging
Right.
your electricity. If you go fully off-grid with a huge power solar panel and things like that, you probably mitigate the cost even more. So for landed property owners, I say really no-brainer. For HDB dwellers, and worse still for condo dwellers, I say, are you prepared for a lifestyle change?
Yes.
If you're not prepared for a lifestyle change, don't go down this path because you're going to curse yourself and curse the salesman and sold it to you.
No, wait, what,
And
do you,
namely me.
what do you mean by lifestyle change?
Okay, so basically,
You're
right
scheduling,
now,
right? The way your whole day is going
yeah,
to be
your
messed up.
entire life will change. For example, if you drive a ICE car, internal combustion engine, no fuel,
Pump petrol.
pump petrol, right? 5 minutes, you're out of there. No more juice in my car. Oh shit, where do I go?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I get there, I say, all the bays are occupied. What do?
Push.
And then the guy's fully charged, he's not moving his car, you're fuming mad. You feel like torching it.
Oh, because they leave it and they
Yeah.
go off.
Have you been in that situation, Ben? You look like you speaking from personal experience.
I live vicariously through a lot of people.
Okay, I have been in that situation.
So you have an EV?
Yeah, no. So I do a lot of car test drives,
Right.
right? So in the early stages, I think 2019 around there, I tested my first EV. 2019. That time the technology was still quite new, right?
Very
Quite
nascent,
young.
yeah, back then.
Yeah. So I won't say which brand.
Okay.
But it was their first EV model. I think they had about 100 something kms on the range. So the other thing about EVs is range anxiety. Yeah. So because it's battery powered, right?
Yes.
So
But you
there's
can
a
mitigate with Xanax, for
For the car, for yourself.
so the range was about 100 something.
Right.
I had the car over the weekend. I drove for first day. Then the next day I went out to it was like half tank, so to speak. So I thought, okay, I had more than enough juice, right? And then I drove all the way to Yishun.
Oh, well, there you
I
go.
don't know why. Okay. No, but I found like suddenly it dropped. Like the range, the balance range,
yeah,
just
it
suddenly
does.
dropped very drastically, not in tandem with the distance that I. So it was. So on paper, the issue sometimes is on paper. It will say a certain number of range, but your real world experience, of course, the way you drive makes
Right,
a
right,
difference as well. And I'm supposedly a very spirited driver. So suddenly the range dropped, and then I was like scrambling to find a charging station around Yishun.
Wow.
And I got there with 3 km left on my car. It was that close, and it was quite scary. So that first experience kind of like gave me a sort of like bias and a bit of like this anxiety is real actually.
I see.
Yeah.
And how are you able to find these charging stations?
There are
Is
apps,
there
right?
There are
Oh,
apps.
app. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
use
okay.
apps.
I see.
Because then there are apps these days, you know.
I know, but hello, I don't know. But I mean, yeah. So it's quite interesting to hear that though. But because we are going to go on a family trip to France, and I was suggesting that we hire an EV because. And then his face was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "But then in places like France,
In Europe, it's
in
well
Europe,
supported.
it's well supported,
supported.
right? And you can, but I mean, because we're going to be in the countryside, we'll be driving long distances, and I thought then for his sake, maybe not.
No, I mean, it's not for my sake, because I've never also driven or owned an EV before. So I'm also a little bit unsure as to how it's all done. I'm sure I can find out all the information online as well, or vicariously through both of you. But going back to Jamie, when you said that you had that, experience in 2019, so that was 6 years ago.
That's right.
If we were today to give you an EV and let you do that whole experience again and write about it, do you think it'll be different?
No, for sure. I mean, of course, I've tested many other EVs since that one. I think the last one that I drove last weekend, 2 weekends ago, was a BMW i4. Definitely a very different experience. The technology has come so far now that you almost don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about range anymore, especially if you're driving in the city. Road trip is another story.
Yeah.
That one I'll give you some advice
Yeah,
and
yes,
tips
please.
later. Yeah. But like if you're driving in Singapore, definitely you won't have to worry about that, at least for a few days. Few days, yeah.
And going back to how you were saying, Ben, earlier, that it's actually more expensive to get an EV rather than your ICE cars. But I mean, aren't there incentives, tax incentives?
Yeah,
and all?
currently, I think the government extended the early adoption incentive plus the VES rebate.
No good enough?
I think it's showing in the numbers, right? I think it's so good that BYD overtook Toyota, as
really?
a top seller, because without this incentive, I don't think. I mean, people will be torn between, should I pay a bit more for EV or buy a hybrid? But the incentive made EV a lot more attractive than buying, a hybrid. And unfairly so, because hybrids are damn good cars as well, if you ask me.
So wait. So hybrid and EV. So hybrid is also EV, but also can pump petrol.
Correct.
Is it?
Half.
Yeah. So basically, the principle of hybrid is that the main engine is the ICE engine,
Okay.
but they have a battery pack. So below a certain speed, actually it's mainly pure electric. Like you call it a jam, you don't burn fuel, inching. But the moment you go cruising, it goes into fuel combusting.
Right.
So it helps to balance it so that you get optimal fuel efficiency in a sense. Whereas electric is, as the word says, purely electric. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that sounds like the best of both worlds then. Is it continuing to be popular, the hybrids rather than EVs, or EVs slowly eating into the hybrid market?
With the government statement, that they want to go 80% EVs by 2040, I think we are forced in one direction.
It's interesting though, because I think Singapore runs a lot on fossil fuels, right? So how are we going to translate that all into electric in the end? I don't know. How does it all work there? That's going to be who's in charge of climate and environment?
Sustainability.
Yeah. So to add on, by 2030, they're going to stop selling ICE engines completely. So everyone will.
But
have-
hybrid still
that's
be
right.
yeah.
Hybrid.
Oh,
hybrids,
seriously?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, that's news to me. I didn't know that. My goodness. Okay.
I just learned it as
You
well.
know, wow.
So everyone will have to slowly transition. So like say for me, I'm a motorist, I'm a driver as
Yeah,
well, right?
yeah.
So my car has like 3 years left. So in
Yours
the
is an
next,
ICE?
mine is ICE, yes. So in the next 3 years, I'm gonna have to decide. Okay, do I still want my last chance to get an ICE, or do I transition to a EV?
Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because you have not many years left. Was 2025 already,
True.
right? So,
Yes.
and it's 10 years.
But because if you really like to drive,
Yeah,
you will want to
wanna
drive a
ice, yeah.
petrol car.
Because
That's why we are called petrol heads,
Wait,
not
wait,
electro
why?
heads.
Why?
So this is another factor in this whole conversation.
The sound, the torque, the feel,
The feel, the
sometimes
emotions.
even the lag gives you that turbo lag,
Yes.
Then you
Wait,
get
but
it.
then-
That's
Yeah.
right.
But
The
an automatic
resistance,
car,
I like that.
correct.
automatic car got that, meh?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Really? I find the auto cars really like.
But no,
very-
but if you're really hardcore, right, only stick shift.
Correct.
Yeah lah. That's why it's like old school. I love it. The go first gear, rev, ready, let go, boom, the clutch.
Yeah, because the thing about EVs, right, is
Yeah.
that there's no sound. The engine, you don't feel the engine.
Right.
So
Have
drivers,
got this sound.
It can be an annoying buzz as well, right? I hear.
they can also program sometimes, and it sounds very artificial.
Yeah.
So it's not ideal as
I
well.
see.
And the other thing, okay, with the EVs, you get instant torque. So you can accelerate very fast.
Oh.
You can sometimes accelerate faster than the ICE engines. So
Most cases you can actually.
in most cases, you can. Yes. And you can accelerate almost as fast as a supercar sometimes.
Really?
Yes. Which is
Faster than
scary.
supercars.
It's scary.
It's scary, yeah.
Yes.
So basically, like when we were kids, we play with remote control cars.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
When you push the stick forward, there's no lag. There's no first gear,
Yeah,
clutch
yeah,
in,
yeah.
second gear. It's just
Zoom.
linear,
I
just
see.
straight. So it's like increasing the size of that thing, and then you press your stick, and the thing just flies.
Wow.
When you all were talking about the sound and the feel and everything, I was thinking, I mean, in musical terms, for my brother's benefit, right? It's like a piano versus a keyboard. That feel, you know, the harder you
Yeah lah, the
bang,
touch lah.
the feel of it.
Okay. Now, yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. Which brings me back also to a certain point that Ben had made when I was buying my current car. Whether or not I wanted a foot brake or one of the hand brakes, and you know,
yeah,
I
we
remember
had that
you gave me
conversation.
yeah,
I'll say,
how do you say it?
You can only do 180 turns with a handbrake.
So, okay, got it.
The whole feel and touch of it.
No, actually, basically, the thing came with a handbrake. I was trying to sell it to him.
So like you, I think you know similarly, I'll be coming to that fork where I've got to
Yeah.
also decide, do I switch?
The government is making it easier for people to purchase or to own an EV. So they're building more charging stations everywhere, in public spaces, because I've seen malls with it as
Yeah.
well. So I guess that shift to EV will happen. It has to happen, right? And so for people to make the decision, like for yourself, for example, is that going to be a plus point for you, or are you going to go, no, let's...
So yeah, I mean, I've still got 4 years left on my car. And the good thing is that where I live, a condo, they've just started to install 4 charging points. And it took,
Four.
I think it took a few EGMs for them to finally get the number of residents who want it. And it's really a chicken and egg situation, right? Because if they don't have the charging points, chances of me thinking about switching to an electric car will be much, much lower. But now that I know that, okay, where I'm living, they're going to be building these facilities, then maybe it makes sense. It's pushing me towards really thinking about it.
But where they install the charging points are as important as how many charging points they install. So, for example, a condo of your size, 4 charging points will not be enough
Not
when
enough,
people
right?
start adopting EVs. Because I find the problem is we have a lot of charging points installed in business parks that are empty weekends.
And at night.
Yes, at night. So we have a lot of charging points that are being idle. Whereas in condos and HDB flats, we need more actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the public spaces.
Correct.
lah.
That's why it becomes like a lifestyle decision. If I own an electric car, can I safely say that when I need to charge it at my home, I can? Or do I have to incorporate work charging, protocol when I'm at the office? You have to think about such things. Yeah. And the other thing that I find very irritating is it's maybe like a OCD thing. People need to charge like to the max. You don't need to charge to the max.
Oh, you don't?
You don't need to. In fact, the recommended charging is between 20% to 80% and stop there, because rapid charging takes you 20 to 80 in about half an hour.
Right.
And after that, it slows down dramatically. Why? So as not to overheat the battery. Yeah. So ideally, stop at 80, let someone else take it over. But people leave it there until it reaches 100. I don't know for what reason.
Kiasu lah.
Kiasu lah. OCD, you know. Yeah.
So I'll come in with some stats here. The government has decided that the goal is 60,000 chargers by 2030.
Okay.
Yes, 2030. So this includes public and private chargers in total island-wide.
Okay.
But if you think about it, it's still not really enough, you know? And I kind of think about it like, say, if you live in HDB and or condo, they put like 4 chargers or 6 chargers or something, and you have like hundreds of cars in the car park. How is it enough at all, right?
Right.
I liken it to say you stay in like an older HDB flat,
Right.
one toilet only,
Right.
you know, and then you need to go urgently, and then how?
But you can
There's-
buy portable toilet. This one you cannot have.
you know, it's that kind of situation, right? Where like if you want to use it urgently, you don't have it, and then how?
But on paper, it looks very good, because Singapore, in Southeast Asia, I think we have the highest charger to EV ratio. I mean, to EV cars ratio, 1 to 3. We have the highest, but it's just that it's not well distributed, I find.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know whether the powers that be are actually doing something about it.
I'm sure they have to be aware, but whether or not they are going to be quick enough to
And
respond
yeah,
and
how
catch
fast,
up
right?
with where the needs are.
Yeah, because okay, so for example, those cars, those electric cars that you rent, or what you call those?
The
Share-
blue
car
SG,
sharing.
those kind, right? Yeah.
those
Car sharing,
the
yeah.
car
That goes
sharing
and all.
ones. So those have been placed all around the island. Do you think maybe the government could do something like that as well? Like I don't know, because I've never driven one actually in my life, so I'm not sure how it works.
You're talking about what the
I mean, yeah, the
charging points,
the
or-
charging points and where we can find it and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Or
again,
how about mandating that every charging point must be available to the public, rather than Blue SG? and
Yeah,
the other-
exactly. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you have idle charging stations there. Just make it mandatory that as long as you have it there, you must allow anybody with an EV to.
it's a good idea. But what about I'm not too sure about the electrical components and demands, the regulations surrounding it. I mean, the fast charging, slow charging. Do the plugs fit into every model of car that comes
Oh,
through?
yeah. Is it
How
a-
does it work?
yeah.
So
I'm
basically now,
unclear.
I think we have basically AC or DC. Beginning, they had some other weird sockets, I think it's all done away with.
Oh.
The world now agree that either you are AC/DC or AC/DC, Yeah.
So it's one size fits all already lah.
So AC is basically slow charging.
Right.
DC is fast charging.
Okay.
And if you open up the charging hole of the EV, the top one is AC and the bottom
Oh,
one is DC.
so they give you a choice.
Yeah.
Because okay, so 3 years ago I was where we're going to France. This is countryside. My friends actually rented an EV, and I was panicking because I was like, where in this kampong do we charge our? So the housekeeper of the villa said, no, don't worry, because outside the window, you can put the cable through the window. Nobody will. And then just outside the window, there was the normal socket.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just chuck inside. And
Yeah,
then you
correct,
park your car outside.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is new. So that was.
They do. So basically, most house installed chargers require 30 amperes for your power point. But I read that they even have 13 ampere chargers. Just that it takes a damn long time to charge your car. But if you're home, then doesn't matter. Leave it the whole day. Yeah. So they even sell portable charging cables for when you do long distance driving and you have problem and you look for 13 ampere socket, plug it in and ask someone, can I please use your to juice up a bit?
So it
They
is
have it now.
possible
It's
for long
possible, it's
distance.
Just that with electricity, it's always like calculation, the lower current supply, the longer time. Yeah. I don't know about Tesla charging ports. Are they the same as?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about
They want to
Tesla.
be special, you know.
Well, he is special, isn't he? In a different sort of sense. But anyway, I can't really find the door handle last time, right?
Is there one?
Yeah, no, because I think a lot of, I mean, in Sydney, a lot of the Uber cars are Teslas. I was like, uncle, sorry, how to open the door, even from inside?
Yeah. Oh, what you mean for inside?
Yeah, outside, inside, you cannot find the door handle.
Oh, well, that's scary.
Kidnapper's dream car.
Huh? Yeah, it's like,
All right, but I mean, as much as we're talking about more the green points that are trying to score points for electric vehicles, but at the same time, we've also heard a lot of counter arguments about how even going to the manufacturing of these EVs and the parts and the batteries and all, that isn't very green. So how green is it really to drive an EV?
Not very green.
Not very
I
green.
would say that is more about the emissions free. That's the main benefit because the car itself is not actually emitting emissions.
Right.
So that's the savings in terms of the carbon footprint. But it's true, the batteries, it uses raw materials like cobalt, lithium and all that, which has to be harvested from the earth. And then there's the issue about ethical sourcing of these materials, things like that. And then in terms of the production also, are they using green energy to produce the vehicle? I think BMW, they have vouched that, yes, they are using green energy at certain plants and things like that. But those are some of the considerations and concerns.
Because what about, I mean, the China brand is very, very, very,
Very popular now.
not just popular, but aggressive.
Dominating.
In their marketing. And it's just exploded, right? And I don't know, because you're talking about this country where we don't know what's happening behind the curtain and how green they actually are at the moment. So what are your thoughts about that?
My biggest concern is the emission part. True, nothing comes out from the tailpipe because there isn't one. But my concern is with a 10-year statutory COE lifespan, we are all forced to get rid of the car.
Yep.
Yeah, after 10 years. What's going to happen to the disposal of this car? Batteries. How are we going to safely dispose it without leaving a toxic environment for the next generation? So these are things that we still don't have answers to. But the thing with Singaporeans, if we are talking about Singaporeans EV adopters here, I think they don't think so far down the line. They just incentive 40,000 off, cheaper than hybrid. Buy lah.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I'm a bit inclined to agree.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it's the immediate satisfaction.
That's
It's the,
Gratification.
it's like Ozempic, right? Nobody knows what's going to happen in the long run. But in the meantime, I'm slim. Hey, inject me.
Yeah. We are a practical society, I have to agree. Yeah.
Very pragmatic. Any other misconceptions that both of you might know of that oftentimes also we might be buying into, but actually we should think twice about what we read, what we hear?
Any thoughts? I think the whole thing is a misconception.
Please elaborate.
No, basically, I look at EV as the next new thing, right? So everybody wants to get into the next new thing. Cantonese say, sang si hang. New toilet bowl, everybody wants to take a dump, So it's one of those things. And with this growth and marketing and publicity and leaders all over will say, EV is good, let's do EV, and our government singing praises and things like that. Everybody wants to jump on, not realizing what they are actually getting themselves into. True, you have a car. True, you have a lot of technology in the car. And also equally true, it's cheap because of the subsidy. But what about long-term sustainability, disposal? What happens when you get tired of it? What happens when electronics fail? These are things that we can't answer yet. Big question marks. Over the last 30 years, if you came to me 20 years ago and said, will you buy a French car? Are you out of your mind or what? You want to bend over and I shoot you or something? But that kind of thing. But today, with the great, I call this the great reset. EV is the great reset for the world, for manufacturers. 20 years ago, I say, hey, you want to buy Geely or not? You siao ah. But today, Geely produces Ion, right? AION, the car. Hey, you want to buy Cherry QQ or not? You siao ah. You know, one of them produce Ion, the other produce Zicker or something like that. They are big players now. You know, Great Wall Motor, what kind of name? Aura Cat. You know what I mean? It's a big reset for the entire world.
Right.
I would never have recommended a French car 20 years ago, but today I look at the EVs that Stellantis rolls out, the Peugeots, you know, the Citroens. I will buy them.
Yeah.
In fact, I just saw a few of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so just digressing now.
Yeah.
So which Peugeot is it? The three.
The E2008. I saw a couple of those.
Okay. No, I'm looking at the rental now.
The two is a bit too small for a family, maybe. Maybe the 3008.
The 3008, right?
Yeah, it's
I was
bigger.
looking-
We're going two, right? We're getting two
we
cars.
we
right?
need to get to 8 of us.
Yeah.
Oh, then you need even bigger because luggage space. People always forget the luggage.
Yeah, no lah, but because anyway, the roads in the south of France very small.
Very tiny.
So you guys are definitely going with an EV for
I,
this trip.
I
Try
am
it out, try it out,
am
yeah.
looking into it because I thought it'll be interesting to try it out.
Okay.
Because after hearing you go about like going on road trips,
Winter or
fall in autumn.
okay, not so bad because
so bad.
winter wreaks havoc on the battery.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You mean the cold? affects-
cold, yeah.
Yes, it's like your phone battery, you know. It loses its juice faster.
So how do you prep for something like that? Especially a long journey if you had driving an EV. I mean, how do you prep?
Air on the safer side. Basically, if you have a 500 kilometer range,
Right.
assume you have 300.
Okay.
Yes.
I have actually done a road trip with an EV. This was in Finland.
Oh.
And one of the brands, Polestar sent me on this trip, and I was completely alone, just myself, and I was driving doing a solo little trip to a little town outside of Helsinki. And then I had my doubts. I was like, I don't know if I will need to find a charger on the way. They assured me, no problem, you can get there and back with enough charge. And then but I had the anxiety, but okay, I tried to trust them, right? So, and they said when you get there, there's chargers. In the middle of nowhere, this small, tiny little town, there's a charger there. So I was like, okay. So I got there, and then I had enough to come back as well. So I was quite
Okay.
surprised, and that completely changed like my impression about
Okay.
EVs.
But their roadside recovery services quite good. There are reindeers there as well.
Yeah.
Hello, Santa.
Yeah, so that I think was 2022.
All
So
right.
between my first experience in 2018 and 2022, it completely like flipped my mind about EVs, to be honest.
Okay.
Yes, but I would definitely suggest, right, there's apps. So apps that you
Right.
can check where is your next charging station on your route.
And
You
what's
can even
available?
check if
Yeah.
it's available. or not.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or being
yeah.
used at the same time. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea because I think for us as as inquisitive people that we are, and we should try something like that.
Okay lah.
Yeah.
Maybe get a sponsor. You think?
Peugeot, hi, bonjour. No, but what about what after sales service for EVs? I mean, are they good? I mean, because cars and all that.
But that's the one thing good about EV over
Yeah.
ICE cars at the moment. Yeah, it's basically nothing to maintain.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of over-the-air updates. So that's what they do to update the cars. So it's very electronic.
phone.
And they, and
So
they
much
can
of
do
software update like
it.
that.
Correct, exactly. And they can do it remotely, you see. So yeah.
So I think you only have brake pads, of course your tires, which will wear a bit faster than normal ICE cars because of the weight. Yeah, it's heavier.
Oh, it's heavier.
It's
Oh, I
heavier.
didn't realize that. Okay.
And maybe your ball joints and things like that. But other than that, you don't have engine oil,
Windscreen wiper.
transmission oil. That one you can do it yourself.
DIY.
Yeah, and I think most of the manufacturers are giving like 5 years warranty. So
Okay.
after sales service for 5 years.
Battery 8 years at least. Yeah.
But what's interesting is, say I had an ex-colleague who had his father runs a mechanic. So then I asked him the other day, I was like, oh, now that the whole world is converting to EVs, the mechanics is also one thing where they have to upgrade themselves as well, right? Yeah. So
Over
then-
the air. Lah.
So I asked him, what's your father going to do? Like change his whole business model, things like that. Then he said, no, my father
No,
old
he'll
already. He's just going to
retire.
retire.
They will
Yeah.
not be able to just up and change
It's hard.
because it's
lah.
a totally new,
It's new technology.
New technology,
Completely.
correct,
And
yeah.
everything's AI now as well,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yep. So this whole thing really affects like supply chains as well and
Right.
ancillary kind of services as well.
So in comparison, I mean, these brands that all come out now with the EVs, right? So I mean, I don't care. I say like we got the Teslas, you got the BYDs, you got whatever and all that, the BMWs. Compare and contrast.
Well, I can tell you that BYD is the best-selling EV brand right now in
Okay.
Singapore.
Yeah.
They overtook Tesla. Worldwide also, I think they overtook the best-selling. Yes.
Okay.
I think simply because when BYD first started, they were a battery company, very much like CATL. So the founder of BYD, smart guy, decided that we want to sustain this business. We build electric cars and full vertical. I think they're the only fully vertically integrated EV company in the world. That means every part of the supply chain down to manufacturing owned by them, including the mines.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I didn't realize
Yeah, which
that.
definitely gives them an advantage
Yeah.
over all
And
the rest
Tesla
of the
takes
brands.
their batteries from them as well. The
That's
blade.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So other brands are buying from CATL, like
Yeah.
BMW as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and actually between them in terms of performance, in terms of what they offer inside the car,
Safety.
Are they all similar? Is there one better than the other? I don't know. I mean,
I can't tell if there is. I find that BYD has got a better appointed interior than Tesla, which is Spartan. You know, I mean, it's in Spartacus will take the Tesla. This is Sparta. You know? Yeah, but the BYD is a lot more well appointed. The touch, the
and
feel,
comfort as well. I mean,
everything is-
I mean, like, when you sit in it,
I haven't technically driven a BYD, but I went with Xpeng to the factory in Guangzhou and I witnessed how they are doing everything, how they are producing in the factory and all that. And it is quite impressive.
Oh.
It is very, very impressive. The speed, the efficiency, the level of technology that they have. And a lot of Chinese brands are also positioning themselves now as luxury. So it's no longer like what we thought in the past where, you know, like, okay, very basic, cheap China made, that kind of stuff. It's very, very
But the
different
word
now.
luxury, they throw it around like
Correct.
no-base business. Like
I
you go
agree.
AliExpress, luxury underwear. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. I agree. I agree.
Maybe we'll talk about that another time.
that's another
In
topic.
this case, luxury is relative.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
It's how you want to define
Correct.
luxury.
So to them, it's luxury, but it cannot compare to your BMWs for sure in terms of the interior, the feel, the plushness, things like that. Yes.
So but that's all aesthetic though, is it? Because at the end of the day, an EV is an EV.
Yeah.
So BMW, of course, piles on the luxury.
Yes. So, which is why I also say, right now, EVs entering the market is going to make things more homogeneous in terms of performance-wise. Because the difference between performance, in the past, it was your engine that made the difference in terms
Yeah.
of your drivability, your feeling, whether you're driving like a V10 or a V8 or a V6, you know, and manufacturers were really like investing in honing the engines, right, for performance and this kind of stuff. But because batteries pretty much changes the whole game,
Right.
and you don't need to invest so much in terms of trying to best your engine.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just basically tweaking it.
So I do
increasing horsepower.
believe in the future how we will evolve is the more aesthetic changes, the more aesthetic updates and all that, rather than performance per se.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's becoming
Because
a little bit more level.
That's
playing
right.
field.
That's right. It evens out the playing field.
The great reset.
So it's how you what you want how you want to look in your car lah, basically.
How you
Or
want your car to look.
Or how you want to
I mean, you want to
look.
put a box on it like Cybertruck, you can also.
No, sometimes I feel that EV dashboards are
like
very
one huge-
very extra leh.
Yeah, like one huge big iPad there.
I mean, how does it distract you? Would it if you drove?
I
like
don't know,
that?
and I've got like I leave fingerprints everywhere on the screen, right? Like,
I find it really scary. Do you seen those like?
Actually,
no,
I
for
hate
sure.
it. You know, I
Because
like,
it's like-
I like you know, if I want to increase my aircon blower by one notch, just
you
Yeah.
I don't want to like go
That's
there back home,
That's right.
aircon,
Yeah.
and then
That's right.
bam.
Swipe,
Yes,
swipe left,
yes.
swipe right.
Yeah, correct. I find it very irritating.
That's right.
Yeah.
So like when I'm doing a test drive nowadays and they give me the car, right? The first thing I look is how many analog buttons are they retaining versus, and now the manufacturers like to say, oh, everything is digital within 2 swipes, that sort of thing, you know, you can access stuff. But as a driver, it's very distracting because
It is.
like Ben said, you know, you don't want to have to go to so many screens just to like angle your aircon
They tell
differently.
Lewis Hamilton, only 2 swipes you can drive and do it at the same time.
No, because I seen the Tesla one. I don't know whose car was it. We were playing with it, you know, and then it can move. The thing can like,
yeah. It rotates,
And
it
half the
rotates.
time, while my friend's driving, and I'm playing with it. Can you don't distract me? I'm like, but then fun, look. Wow. So yeah, I don't understand all these like new technology, but I guess if it helps the GPS system.
Very, very interesting. And I guess going back again to Jamie and your experience in Finland, and you said how within, again, 6 years, things had changed. We did talk about some of the challenges currently that you've observed about the current landscape in Singapore where charging points are concerned. Do you think within 6 years, like Finland, Singapore can do it?
Technically,
make
we
all the
should be
changes,
able to. We should be
Yeah,
able
we
to.
should,
It's just a matter of will.
Because
I
we're a
feel.
small country.
That's right. In fact, like a lot of the world, around the world, they're looking at Singapore as the best test bed for these kind of things, you know, because we're a city and we're very contained.
Yeah, yeah.
And our population and car population, stuff like that. And being such an efficient government, you know, so technically we should be able to do it. It's a matter of whether or not the will is there and it gets done.
And changing mindsets as well, I guess.
You know, but having said all that though, right, like if you look at other countries, some of them are actually dialing back their EV regulations.
Oh.
So they may have had a target of, okay, by 2030, we are going to have a certain amount or we're going to phase out, but they're actually pushing it back. So they're changing what it is.
Right.
So there are speed bumps of sorts.
Yes, for sure. Because maybe it's not so feasible. You know, they're seeing that it's not so feasible, not so viable, and then they're dialing it back.
I think grid infrastructure is also very important.
Yeah.
Some of them may not be able to support the charging infrastructure. And this is going to take up a lot of juice. Maybe that's why we are thinking of having nuclear power.
Ah, I see.
I mean, it's on the table now, right? They're considering
Considering it. Yeah.
if you want to really electrify the whole country, I think we need to up our power supply.
So, just asking again, speaking of power supply and you run out of juice, if you get stuck on a highway somewhere, you call AA or who helps you?
You can call it
Really?
Or the authorized distributor.
So they will come and save you.
Told you.
Either they told you, or I know that there are some mobile charging vehicles now. So there's this van that's got a huge battery pack that's like explosive in his back.
Yeah.
You know,
Like those
moving
Google
around.
car like that.
Oh my
Yeah, then they'll go to your location. They have a DC
okay.
charging.
Okay.
You pay them and they juice you up.
Really?
But that's going to take some time, right? At least 30 minutes.
We should try
Yeah,
this, man.
at least 30 minutes.
Just
Yeah.
test them, right?
You
Like
can
see
try
how
it in
fast.
France.
Toy Tiger, I see.
They don't have reindeers there.
No, but I think like you said, I think in Europe, or places like that, they are actually well equipped.
Actually, you should rent 2 different EVs to try. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, they
you
do a
know.
drag race.
Yeah, can.
Same timing.
Same destination.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea because I'm very, very interested. 'Cause I haven't driven in a very long time because I'm in Singapore. It's too
I'm not going to
expensive.
be in his car.
No, you are driving your own car.
Thank you.
And so I want to try the EV because I like I said, last time I drove was stick shift. So it'll be very interesting.
I'm going to win the race.
You try?
Okay, so while we're talking about France, I'm sure not many of us will be planning a road trip to France or in France, but say a road trip from Singapore to KL. Maybe that's more something that most of our listeners and viewers would be doing or planning to do. How feasible, how easy is that
Very
idea
feasible.
out of Singapore into Malaysia?
Very, because most cars come with 450 declared range, discount 15%. I think you'll still get there.
One way, right?
Yeah,
Then you
one way.
charge
And
there.
then you charge it. I think in KL, there will be a lot more charging point. But of course, if you have, anxiety, then midpoint Malacca, try and find a charger.
I remember I was in Ipoh, right? And I was surprised in the hotel I was staying there was a charger there.
Okay.
In Ipoh. Yeah. And it it is feasible. And I also know of journalists who have done a pure EV trip from Thailand all the way to Singapore.
Wow.
And so they've done their research. And the most important thing I would say is research.
Yeah,
lah.
research, absolutely.
Yeah, to know where the charging points are along the way when you need them.
Yeah. Are there ready sites that you can point our listeners to that
Yeah.
would tell us where these charging
Or,
points are?
or apps that we can.
I think most of the major shells along the North-South Highway have it, if I'm not wrong. Then the rest of it, you really have to check the. I think Charge Plus and this company in the largest charging company in Malaysia has already joined hands, right, to co-share their. Yeah, I read it in the paper sometime back.
Alright.
Yeah, because
Shouldn't be too difficult to do an online search. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that because I think in Johor right now, where I live, the nearest mall, which is Mid Valley, has every weekend in the atrium they are selling EVs. Is incredible, like every brand. So one weekend you have BYD, the next moment you got Tesla. You could go like, so they are pushing it very, very hard as well in Malaysia, which is in a way interesting because they are being subsidized, right? I think for their, I mean, not anymore. I don't know, but Anwar has changed the rules, but the petrol is being subsidized. So, but now they're pushing EV in Malaysia as well. And I don't know what about other Southeast Asian countries. Do you all know?
Thailand is big.
Thailand.
BYD has set up their manufacturing there.
In Thailand?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think a few of the Chinese car manufacturers are setting up over there. I mean, Thailand used to be the Detroit of Asia, right? Toyota is there, Honda, Nissan. So they've been overtaken by Chinese electric cars.
I see.
And everywhere I turn, it's like an EV. I don't even know some of those models.
Oh.
Some looks like your Urus or your the Lambo. Sorry, it's a Urus. The Lamborghini. It looks like Urus, but I don't know what is it.
What's an Urus?
What's that?
Lamborghini Urus is their SUV.
Oh. I saw one the other day. It's like, yeah. Where was it? I pointed out to you.
Lamborghini is going back to their tractor
It's like,
origins.
was here? Oh yes, it was. No, it was just here. Where the coffee place is. It was a huge Lamborghini SUV, and I went, "What is this?" And it's sorry, but it looks a bit like.
So are they going bigger in your observation that these EVs are?
No, Urus not EV. Urus is still a
Hybrid.
Is it a hybrid?
Is it a
It's a
hybrid?
hybrid. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, it's a hybrid. Yes.
It looks like a tractor lah. You know, Lamborghini originated as a tractor.
I didn't know.
manufacturer.
Oh, no,
yes,
yeah.
yes. As in, they were first a tractor company, then they started producing cars.
Yeah, because he was very pissed off with Ferrari's reliability issues. Decided to build his own supercars.
Oh,
So Caterpillar should do that.
you do.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
I did in the army. I did.
They have what? Aura Cat.
No. Just this thing that I was very interested in. Self-driving cars, those auto cars, those also
Shoot me.
Okay, I don't trust yet. I don't trust.
Have you tried? Have you tried
Wasn't it in
it?
the news that Grab's trying to look at that in Singapore?
Because
No, I don't trust
I don't trust.
nobody.
Yeah.
Literally.
Trust yourself as a
Trust
driver.
yourself.
but have you all tried it before?
I haven't
No,
tried. I
no,
haven't tried.
No. Okay.
My friend's friend who owns the Xpeng, right? He tried the self-parking and he says it's fantastic. It's just
Self-parking?
you get off, you press a button, the car searches for a lot and parks itself. I said, okay.
Whoa, what do you mean? What do you mean? You get out of the car first?
Yeah. And you don't even need to go to your car. You press a button, the car comes out from where it's parked, finds its way to you. Wow.
Yeah, it's
in
very
Singapore, it's
impressive.
already.
Yeah.
What?
I was thinking of installing that on Sasha, my youngest child. Press a button and then,
But yeah.
Which is why the Chinese are really leading in terms of technology.
Okay.
Because they have all this in play already. Yeah. And unfortunately, the legacy players, they have to play catch up now.
So, okay, why do you not trust the self-driving cars? Because
was it that case?
because
where,
of Terminator,
no, wasn't there one guy who was also stuck in a self-driving car and was just going around the car, but he couldn't stop that car in the US?
yeah, but then these cases are far and few in between, right? I mean,
Yeah, I guess.
like every the what do you call it, the probability, because I don't know. In America, they have it now, right?
I don't know. You want a PC answer or you want a real answer?
Give me the real answer. Come
But then
on.
you're talking to two people who love to drive, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, but yeah, for example, these ride-hailing cars now, we're gonna go all, self-driving and all that stuff.
I mean, like San Francisco, they have the companies that have already tried all these robotaxis and that sort of thing, right? There are incidents where, it doesn't always pan out perfectly because, the technology is still in its infancy, it's still being developed and things like that, right? So personally, for me, I don't always trust technology, So yes, technology is there to help us. Definitely they can, but in certain situations, technology can fail you. Definitely you can have electrical failure. Definitely these things are possible.
In the words of CIA, trust but verify. No, basically, I will trust them only under one condition: massive Bangkokian road jam, traffic jam.
Right.
I put to auto drive and I take a nap because whatever damage is not going to kill me. But north-south highway, auto drive, no way.
I think the auto drive cars are in the city lah, most of them, right? I mean,
Slower
where's
drives.
that place? The Mediacorp area, that side.
One North.
Don't they have those
No, but the
autonomous?
Tesla auto drive is basically just auto drive from city to city, fully automated. That I really don't trust. I mean, you see our car flying. So, under certain conditions, like traffic jam, lovely, right?
Sure.
You don't want to like start, stop. Put it on, take a nap. Half an hour later, wake up. Yeah, I'm still in a jam.
Okay, so let's let's go away from EV for a little bit, because I'm really interested in the cars that you love, right, and the cars that you've driven and tried and stuff like that. What are your favorites?
Ferrari.
Really?
Ferrari, 100% Ferrari.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've tried the
Okay, so
flawed it.
for me, because I cover luxury lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So I basically, I've tried most of all the super brands. So your Ferraris, your Lamborghinis, your McLarens. I have even driven a Pagani, very, very short. Bugatti is last on my bucket list. So my favorite is Ferrari, who did an amazing road trip in Italy, actually. So we drove from from Bologna to Tuscany. 4 hours. They just handed me the keys to the Ferrari and then I just drove by myself. And so in Italy, you can drive really fast. They will actually, applaud you for driving fast because it's, it's the home of Ferrari and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So that is just the most amazing experience behind the wheel of a supercar like that. Yeah.
What about you, Ben?
Oh, I love big stately cars
Rolls.
and very old cars. No Rolls. I saw a few of those. I don't like them. I mean something that is at the luxury level. I love the Toyota Century.
Oh,
Handcrafted. Signature on the engine block.
who signed?
One of two engineers
Really?
who are
Certified.
certified to build this. And the king of Japan has one.
Oh, so it's called the Toyota Century.
Century, yeah.
Okay, all right. Put
And
that
then
right
on the
down.
other end of the spectrum, I love old cars. I mean, he knows I've got old cars. I have a 1975 Toyota Celica.
Oh, that's the two-door.
Two-door. The one that's parked. It's parked in Bangkok, but I found it there. I bought it. I just
drove
bought
it
it.
down?
No. And I dumped it at my friend's place. I want to bring it in, but LTA is a pain in the ass. So
Well,
yeah. So I'm hoping to bring it in. It looks like a little Mustang.
We had a lot of those, right, in Singapore previously.
Yeah, it was my first car. That's how much I love cars.
Nostalgia.
I was in NUS, saw this old man driving all the time, saw his number plate. I buy 4D. Kena.
really?
Wow.
Yeah, $8,000. Took the entire sum of money when I buy one Toyota Celica. Then my girlfriend crashed it.
Oh dear.
Now she's my wife.
Well, there you go.
It was
Crash
worth
and
it.
burn.
Yeah. And then since then, I always said, when I grew up, I want to buy it again.
When you grow up.
Yeah. But in Singapore, I think there are about 6 of it left only.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about Singapore is like if you have one of these cars, right, every 50 meters is a traffic light. So it's about stop.
Yeah, but that's why you want cars like this, whereby you want to drive slow and not hurt the engine like Ferrari when driving slow. But yet, people look at it. I'm telling you, if I park a fully rebuilt Celica in Millennium Walk versus your standard Ferrari, there'll be more people looking at the Celica than the Ferrari.
Depends on where you park.
In front of the
Millennial Walk,
Ferrari.
Millennial Walk.
Millennium Walk.
Yeah,
you
in
have-
front of the Ferrari.
yeah, next to it. Don't let it come out.
Yeah, I love old cars. They have character. I mean, like one of the most highly sought after vehicle is the DB5, right? Aston Martin is highly sought
Is that the
after.
James Bond one?
Yes.
Oh, that's the one where they came up with the color of it. What's it called? Forest green.
I think
The
so. Is it
Aston
forest
Martin-
green?
Forest green. Where I think they patented the color for Aston Martin for James Bond. Yeah.
The DB5 is. Yeah.
Hey, so my birthday coming Let me.
Yeah,
He'll get you the forest green.
just the
colour.
Just the
Pantone.
Nippon paint. Go and paint your own self for your car.
I'll get you some Matchbox car there. All right. So yeah, thanks for sharing what your faves are. And even as we, I guess, count down the time, looking at some closing thoughts and tips that you might have for our listeners,
Especially
as
for those
to-
who are, considering getting a car. Any advice, any
ideas.
tips that you want to give them?
I think for me, it'll be back to what Ben was sharing at the beginning about it's a lifestyle change. So if you are considering an EV, you have to think about it's a completely different lifestyle. It's no longer like pump petrol, 5 minutes, that kind of thing. You have to organize your life around charging your vehicle.
Like the car owns you now, not you owning
Almost
the car.
like that, yes,
Yeah,
correct.
it's like having a
correct.
You need to at least have a rudimentary understanding of mathematics, arithmetics.
Well, I
You
feel.
know, how long I need to charge and then how many hours I have left. In the middle of a meeting, do I leave and say, excuse me, I need to shift my car? Idle charges apply. You know?
Yeah.
My friend Kana, he went for luncheon, parked his car, fully charged, came back $20 over surcharge.
So who charges that?
The charging company.
Oh,
No, so what happens if your car is already fully charged and then you leave it there,
They have
you
half
get
an
a
hour.
surcharge.
It's a half an hour
What's the
grace
grace?
period.
Half an hour. Okay.
Yeah.
For you to run back to your
I
car.
didn't
So like
realize
we're having
that.
a podcast, right? Hey, excuse me, I need to move my car.
I see. So then doesn't the car technology inform you?
It does.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, but some people ignore because like you are signing a big deal or this guy is your boss's father or something like that. And you just don't want to offend him by leaving him alone there. Then you say LL, Hokkien say.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? I mean, increasingly we're getting a lot of the ultra rich in Singapore. They're charging their cars. So what? I mean, I've got a parking lot if you like as well. So I'll just leave it there. I mean, the rest
That's
of us
why
are
I
going to
love the Scandinavian traffic fine system. They charge you according to your net worth.
Oh,
Do
really?
they?
Yeah.
Oh.
didn't know that.
I think in Sweden or where if you
Then-
speed, right, and if you are billionaire, your fine, right, can run into six figure.
Oh, that's
Okay,
fair.
then I no need to
okay.
worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all poor. We're fine. But I think that's fair, though. I think the Nordic countries got it right. Well, on that note, thank you so much, Jamie and Ben.
Thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
thanks for having
yeah,
us.
it's quite a ride.
Has been.
It has been, and also because I've learned a lot of things because like I said I'm not a car person, but I think we're gonna experiment with it when we travel.
Yeah,
so
my
that'll
brother's
be-
a camel person.
Thanks once again, and you can join us on our next session podcast with Stanley and me, the Leong-Form. We'll see you soon.
Zoom.